So Dee Walton. I am born and raised in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I went to Oklahoma State University and I majored in HR. That's what I got my undergrad in. And I moved here after college. And so I've been in Dallas for 20 years or so. And you know, I'm a corporate America. That's what I did. I was climbing the ladder for many, many years. And I have to be honest, that experience in corporate America actually set me up for entrepreneurship, and I didn't even know that it would. I had just some really great opportunities in corporate America based on what I did and the companies that I worked for. So I traveled all the time and I was speaking to people all the time. And speaking in front of crowds and doing workshops and training leaders. On multiple types of things from benefits to diversity to corporate initiatives. So anyway, I bought a house in 2015 and I didn't even catch the bug at that time. But I was a first time home buyer and I just kind of remember going through that process. And then the pandemic hit and I was like, I think I should go to real estate school. Like we have so much time, right? It's like, yeah, you're working 9 to 5, but for some reason it kind of kept just staying in the back of my head. So funny story, I was actually in California when I got my real estate license. So my boyfriend is from California. So when we shut down for the pandemic, that's where I was. I wasn't even in Texas. But I knew I was coming back home at some point. When we shut down, we kind of thought like, oh, this will be a couple weeks, right? But
Yeah.
during that time frame, I was productive. Went to real estate school at Champions all online. I got fingerprinted and took my test all in the state of California, because you can do those things, wherever you are. They're partnered with Pearson and they're partnered with government entities for fingerprints. So I did everything in California. I literally set up the business while I was in California. And then I came back in October of that year, and I had a listing. That's why I had to come back. So I changed my name on Instagram to Dee Walton Realtor, whatever it is. And I had a girlfriend that says, "Are you a realtor?" Like she was even just as confused as I was because I haven't really announced it yet. And she was like, "I saw you changed your Instagram handle. We need to sell our house." So that I got licensed in August. I flew home in October, and I had my first two closings that December.
Okay, that's a bit unusual.
Yes.
And because we've got a class full of newbies on this call, and it doesn't always happen that way, but it
Yeah.
can. That is
Yeah.
the uniqueness that real estate brings to the table. So
Mhm.
you just never know. But again, I think the key point here is that boy, you put yourself out there, right?
Mhm.
And things happen. So thanks for sharing that story. That's a different one. Unlike me, I had to work for damn near 9 months before I could have something happen in this business while I'm working at a donut shop, right?
Mhm.
But we all have our stories. So thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that one. So with your corporate job. And again,
Mhm.
you're learning things that you didn't really even know that were setting you up for success here in entrepreneurship or real estate, and talking in front of crowds, because I know that community service and mentorship, and I
Mhm.
say especially to ladies, but again, I don't want to speak for you. Um, how has that manifested itself in your business and in your life?
I think when I was in corporate, while I worked for a Fortune 500 company, a really large one. And while I was working for a really large one and I was on this huge HR team, I was running my own, what we call customer support groups. I was kind of by myself, even though I was on the team. I had an HRG that worked under me, but I was the HR manager for like three different factories in two different states. What that required was um, partner with not only management, but higher management to get things done. So I wasn't afraid to just hop on a plane to go solve a problem or do an investigation. And in fact, it was encouraged of me very on in my career. Like I would go to my manager about an issue and they're like, "Well, why aren't you on the plane?" I'm like, "Go fix it." Um, but my corporate experience allowed me to be on many different projects as well as talking to all different types of people. So I could be talking to a C-level executive or a welder or a painter who's working on our factory floor. So I had to maneuver in one day different conversations. And had to be really astute to learn people. I pay attention to body language. I'm always constantly reading people's body language. And then also just my presentation skills. I wasn't afraid to talk to people because I had to talk to you about some of your most personal things, HR stuff sometimes. So when I transitioned into HR, a lot of it came really easy. What didn't come easy for me was selling. So I did have to learn the skill of sales. For a long time, I actually rejected that I was a salesperson. And some days I still do.
Right.
But talking to people was not an issue for me. Open houses was 50 to 60% of my business for the first 2 to 3 years. And I always dive back into it whenever I need to. I will do an open house in a minute. But for the first couple of years, that was how I brought in business was open houses. So and I actually prefer to talk to people in person. I'm really not that good on the phone, to be
Yes.
honest with you, but I
Ditto.
like to talk. I like to talk in person. So I just kind of used all those skills that I had for 15 years in corporate and just try to figure out how does it fit into real estate.
Well, again, I think that like you, I'd prefer to be in front of people, and my coach has pounded me forever. I don't pick up the phone, and it's shocking, and I shouldn't share this because we've got so many newer agents on the phone, but I don't call my database. Now I do stay connected, and it's shocking to people that they actually get connected by more than 120 times a year from me or from my office, but actually me picking up the phone rarely happens unless I'm inviting you to, one of my parties or an event or a client experience. But again, it works. It works.
Hmm.
And open houses work. And
Hmm.
I hope, and I'm interested to get your take on this, if
Hmm.
the recent trend continues, because last week, I had an open house and had an agent in the office. She had 11 visitors come by, and on Sunday I had 25 visitors come by,
Mm.
and picked up a buyer and a listing opportunity from it. So let's hope that continues. But again, I think the point here is don't be afraid to get out
Hmm.
there in front of people who clearly are thinking of doing something. If not now, research shows that within the next 6 to 9 months, they're thinking of pulling the trigger, right? So maybe you're
Yeah.
getting out in front of this thing. So do
Yeah,
it. Do it.
for sure. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
besides open houses, where what are your other pillars, and where does
Hmm.
business come from? Now, again, I think and again, I know I've told you this. I love your online presence.
Hmm.
One, I think the content is amazing, and you've got some probably like Ben Baker that's trying to steal a couple of things I've seen you do.
Go
So,
for it.
right?
You go for it. So my business, the first, like I would say, so full transparency, I did really well in 2021, but 2022 was a flop. Like
Yeah.
I almost thought about going back to corporate. When the interest rates went up, I just was not prepared um, as far as like systems and pipeline. So I did not do that well in 2022. Um, so for any of those agents who are out there, like keep going is would be the message because we all have those ebbs and flows. Unfortunately, that's just a part of entrepreneurship. But in 2023 and 2024, I kind of doubled down on what was working. Um, I had been in some brokerages and in some rooms where like the messaging was a little antiquated, meaning like do FISBOs and circle prospect and door knocking. And I'm not telling y'all that those do not work. They absolutely do. But my message is do what works for you. And those strategies of getting business like made my soul hurt.
Mhm.
Literally, I started to hate real estate if I have to call another FISBO. So I just doubled down on what worked and I built systems off of that. So my business is about 60 to 70% referral and sphere.
Mhm.
Um, and then it is open houses after that. And so That was 2023 and 2024. In 2025, my business was 90% sphere. I got lazy. I
Mhm.
did well, but I was lazy in 2025, and it was like 90% sphere and referral. Um, and now this year, I have been consistently posting on YouTube one video per week. And it is after 6 months of posting. I've been back and forth for YouTube, but I am starting to see that traction. So I would guesstimate that for 2026, I'm still going to have sphere and past referrals, a little open houses because I'm going to do those as well twice a month. And then I'm probably going to have at least 20% of my business that comes from YouTube this year. So
Well,
yeah.
and
And then
you're
of that sphere and referral, I'm
mhm.
actually able to like go even further into the metrics on that. And about 30% of that sphere and referral is from my sorority sisters. So I am a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And, I've been a member for forever. And so my sorority sisters, who I'm around all the time at meetings and conferences and events and parties and all the things, they make up a decent amount of my business.
Yes, I do. And and I love that because I know we've chatted about that. So how did you guys celebrate Founders Day?
Well, we went out on Monday, but then we also have a luncheon on Saturday. And I'm super excited because one of our girlfriends is turning silver, which means she's been 25 years with the organization. So there's probably going to be about 20 of us there to celebrate her on top of us luncheon and probably 1,000 tickets sold out. So
Love that. I love that. Well, and I love the fact that, I mean, you guys are about service. And so it doesn't surprise me that you're as involved as you are because that's who, again, I'm on the outside looking in, but that's who I think Dee is and at the core, right?
mm-hmm.
And speaking of that, it's probably a good transition because I know that I think are you 2026 Vice President of Women's Council?
Yes. So
Right.
I am in a couple of leadership roles this year.
Right.
Women Councils of Realtors, Collin County specifically. I am the first VP, and I'm also on the ALC this year as well for KWDPR.
And that excited me more than anything because the representation we have this year, I stepped aside because I was ready. I was ready to see. I mean, Ray, who was on last week, I think Tanisha, who's on, you, Asia, that's on. I'm like, I'm ready. I'm ready to see this next leadership group step up and do the damn thing because this office, I believe that we can take this office even further. And again, we're about as far as you can go, being the mothership, right? But I think
Mhm.
there's territory that we haven't even charted yet in this time. And I believe under
Yeah.
the leadership of you guys, we're going to do it. So,
Yeah. Well, shout out to you, Ben, because you were definitely an inspiration in holding it down for us and having that space. Um, Nobody can discount your contributions to the Market Center as well as the ALC. So, someone like you serving helps it, makes us want to follow in that path. So, shout out to you as well.
well, thank you for that. Okay, so um, tell me, what's one thing that the Women's Council has on their agenda for us this year, and then we'll move on to something else.
Yeah, so this year the Women's Council is definitely focused on education. So KWDPR has a lot of education. I highly recommend new agents take advantage of it. But there are a lot of agents who don't are not at brokerages like KWDPR, so they need community and they need education. So a lot of focus on making sure that the agent is thinking entrepreneurship mindset, and then just like a lot of other brokerages, focusing a lot on AI education, right? Making sure we're in the forefront of that, how we're utilizing it and strategizing that in our businesses is really important. So, yeah, come check out any WCR event, or it's not just for women, it's also open for males. Ray comes to some of our meetings too. So, if it's a really good way to meet agents that are not with KW. And then it's also just a way to kind of expand your network.
That's great. Well, speaking of Ray, was it you who had recommended him for the Goldman Sachs thing, or did that just happen? It was you, right? That's what I
Yes,
that's
me
what
and
I thought.
Shalina probably was on him and Tanisha. They both
Okay.
have gone through that program. solid program. I cannot recommend it enough. I enjoyed being a part of something that was not so real estate specific,
Yeah.
but also just focusing on you as a business owner. There are some criteria to get into the program, but I've probably also closed about 3 or 4 deals from that program, is like people referring me and
Mhm.
utilizing me as their realtor. It's just another network of business owners. And I've kind of um, made sure that I stay a part of that community too. So I'm very invested in the real estate community, as you can see. But I was also the membership director of NABO, which is the National Association of Women Business Owners. And I was a part of Goldman Sachs and I'm a part of AKA. So, like, I also use those organizations, not only for the network, but also, you know, the referrals that come through. So, those are any type of organization that you're in, be in it, church, Fox Sports. I don't care what it is.
Right.
If you're in it, utilize it to service people, and it comes back to you.
Whew. Collaboration, relationships are rocket ships that we understand. So I think, again, we say it here all the time. You can't be a secret agent. You can't. Even if you don't have that type of personality, and I shock people all the time because they think that Ben Baker is an extrovert off the charts. And I'm not. I'm not. It's just I know that when I'm in this space, I can turn the switch on. I can.
Mhm.
And I think you have to learn that skill, because if not, now again, it's not that you can't succeed in this, because I think our founder and CEO, Gary Keller, he is not a prototypical real
Mhm.
estate professional. But I think he understands that, yeah, when it's time, and he can flick it on. So can I, and I know you can too. So, and I'm glad you cleared up, because I was like, what is NAWBO? So, uh, National Association of Women Business Owners. So thanks for clearing that up. So, um,
Yeah.
uh, to switch it on you a little bit, because again, we try to do just a tad bit of research from our for our guest host, and so your mother, rest in
Mm.
peace, right?
Hmm.
Um, I think she was did she have a run a food truck or something back in the day? And
She did.
right?
Yeah, she had this trailer that we used to go park in front of the flea market every Saturday and Sunday. I don't know that I'm telling my age by going to the flea market. But we used to go to the flea market every Saturday and Sunday, and she had this trailer, and she was doing, again, telling my age, fried liver and gizzards
Okay.
and snow cones.
Okay. Okay.
So I was, 7, 8 years old, helping fill the snow cones.
Okay.
And she's in the truck frying up chicken and gizzards, and people go into the flea market, they shop, they come out. And this was, in the early 90s. So again, before food trucks were a thing. Now we just kind of
Right.
know about them, right?
Right.
She also had a catering business. My mom was a cook, so she did a few weddings, as well as the primary food service provider for a couple of clients. Um, and so it's now that I'm in entrepreneurship, I reflect back on those all the time.
Yes.
And recognizing that one of the reasons why, like, she didn't tap into a community, she didn't have capital resources. She was a single mom just trying to do some stuff. Like, oh, I can cook, so
Yeah.
how can I exploit that
Yeah.
to feed these kids? That was the basis, right? And so now that I
Yeah.
am an entrepreneur, I often reflect on her experience and what she was trying to do, to kind of help me push forward, if I was being honest with you. This entrepreneurship is not always fun. It
No.
is up and down, it's all over the place. But I do often reflect on her, um, as I'm journaling along in entrepreneurship.
Well, and I appreciate you. I know I caught you off guard there, but for me, the point was, I know as a young lady, you learn lessons from participating in that and seeing mom, who was an early entrepreneur. That's what she was, right?
Mhm.
Whether we recognized it or not, mom did some great things. And there were some things that mom suffered with, because again, she didn't have
Mhm.
capital, she didn't have
Mhm.
social media, right? Mom was doing the best she could. And again, I think that drive clearly has filtered its way down to Dee Walton because I know
Mhm.
that I'm a reflection of Alger Baker Sr., and I know you are too. And so,
Mhm.
and again, I know you're appreciative of those life lessons that you learned from mom, as though I am. And
Yeah.
um, here's to mom. And again, here's
Yes.
to D. Here's to D. So D, I appreciate you. Again, I think we do have a minute or two. So I want to ask you on a personal level because I think we speak we talk about AI and social
Mhm.
media, and you're posting on on your Instagram at least once a week. And I do see the personal side too. I see you in the gym. So tell me
Mhm.
about was it the early days? Were you really into bodybuilding or just physical fitness? Where did that come from?
I've always been an athlete since the time I can remember. I played all the sports. I cheered, soccer, track, all the things. And then, of course, you get to college and get lazy. But I did get back into as an adult. I've ran a couple of half marathons, and then I competed in a bodybuilding show in 2014. So um, I just feel that is just still kind of a core of who I am. I went to the gym this morning.
Yes,
I will probably always be a gym goer. It's kind of a therapy mental place for me.
ditto.
So yeah, before I became into real estate, all of my content was fitness related. So now that I do have an audience that's interested in real estate, I still post that fitness content. And to be honest with you, get more engagement sometimes than real estate.
Right.
Um, so yeah, when it comes to my strategy on posting, I don't overthink it. I just post what I feel like. I think we're oftentimes going to marketing classes, social media classes. There's so much to learn. And I just kind of take the bits and pieces and then I just honestly just do what I want. So, I'm in the gym so much, you're gonna see gym content. Like that's just is what it is. Um, and I think when it comes to like telling my story, I think that we know how many agents are here in DFW. I actually don't know, but I can guess. Probably like 35,000. I don't know.
Yes.
A lot of agents, right?
Yeah.
And we all can sell a house. We all can write a contract. We all can do a CMA. We've gone to all the classes. But like oftentimes I'm thinking about what makes me me and what sets me apart. And so I lean into that. I mean, how many people are your HR person or sold your house? Not many. I can't tell you how many of my employees I've helped buy and sell houses. And so I lean into that because that's who I am. And I lean into me being a gym rat because that's who I am. So I just kind of lean into who I
Yeah.
am and make that a part of my story because at the end of the day, in real estate, there's so many people who do what we do, but people will buy into your story.
Yes.
So, do I share all of my life? Absolutely not. But do I share things that I think people can relate to and tie into to uh, to my brand? And that's
Right.
just it's my strategy. I haven't overthought it. It just is what it is.
Well, and I love the not overthinking it because I've overthought it. Being an
Mm,
athlete my entire life, right? I've never posted that side of it. I'm consistently in the gym myself, and the interesting thing is, I mean, I haven't gotten one bit stronger in the last, I think, in the last 20 years. Because for me, it's not about pumping tons of iron like I did when I played football, right? It's just maintenance and it's health and it's a
right.
release. It's my peace, right? That
Hmm.
hour and typically hour and 20 that I'm there, my last 15 or 20 minutes is in the dry sauna. And that
Hmm.
really, I mean, between the sweating and just it's not peaceful and quiet in there because there's always gentlemen, right? But that's my time.
Yeah.
And I thought, should I post that occasionally? At least for folks my age to see someone like me in the gym, I think could be encouraging. But because I've never done it, I haven't done it, right? So maybe I should
Mm.
just do it. Maybe just
Yeah,
post
you're
that.
overthinking it. You're
No.
overthinking it.
All right. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
I'm
Thank
not
you for that.
saying to share everything.
Right.
There's a lot of parts of my life that I do keep, but like
Yes.
you're over some things we're just overthinking.
Yeah. And I and
Yeah.
I, I knew you'd say that. So you guys, you might see Ben Baker in the gym. You might see me. Hey Lonnie, you might see me in there, man. Let's go. So I thank you. Let me ask you this before we go. Um, is there something that you'd like for us to know about
Mm.
Dee that I didn't ask, or that you want to share, or about your business, or anything as we depart today? Is there anything?
Mm. Um, so I don't know how many agents are new on here, but what I would say is that entrepreneurship is hard. So accept the hard. You can go to work or you can be an entrepreneur, right? You can work solo or you can work on a team. There's so many options. So accept the hard. And also, even if you're an introvert, even if you work from home, just know that you can't really do this alone. So while I have accepted that entrepreneurship is hard, I also have accepted that community is important. And I've surrounded myself with some really great realtor friends and other entrepreneurship friends, and we're going on the journey together. And so I really can't express that enough. If you're at KWDPR, get involved. That's one of the reasons why I came here. I was with EXP. I was at a cloud brokerage and I was lonely. So get involved because the growth that can happen when you do it with others is just so much more than what you can do alone.
That is a powerful nugget and an appropriate way for us to end it. Thank you for thank you for bringing the meat this week, guys. I do my damnedest each and every week to bring the value, and if you missed it today, that's a you problem. That's a you problem. 'Cause sweetheart, I can't thank you enough because I learned, and I think after I look at Richie and I know Steve. Again, we've all been in this thing 30 plus years. And when I look at, someone, I think you're a child, and yet I'm like, I know I can learn as much or even more from you than I can from Steve Markel down the hall from me, right? And so I appreciate your willingness to share because we do have a large number of new agents on the call. Most of them are in one room. And I think it's
Mhm.
important for them week in and week out to hear from every level. Again, I consider you an emerging leader only because we haven't really seen you, and now we are. And guys, like I
Mm.
said before, you better recognize who this woman is. And when given an opportunity, and she has a minute, she's not bashful about giving you a minute of her time if she's not already occupied. And I think that's what leadership is about. You mentor, you give back, you collaborate. And I think that's what one that separates you from the also rans, because we know in this crazy market, I'd say the numbers are 85% of real estate professionals in America. They're not doing what every participant on this call is doing. They're not succeeding at a high level, and the numbers vary anywhere from 2 to 5 units a year, or what the
Mm.
also others are doing, and that's not us, and that's not
Yeah.
us.